Hey, what's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of StudioOneSports.com and Podcast Heat Wrestling, and I am live here today. Rumor and Innuendo. It's a Monday. Robert should be joining us shortly. That's Robert Karplis, WD Creative _ish. He should be joining us in a few minutes. But I wanted to say hello to everybody and join in live here at noon, as we always are, Eastern Standard Time, to talk a little pro wrestling news. And man, what a crossover we had this past Sunday, yesterday. Super Bowl Sunday. So we're going to talk about the Bad Bunny halftime show, some reverberations that followed along after it, and just my overall thoughts on some of that stuff. And we'll get Robert's thoughts on it too. Let's say hi to some folks in the chat. Let's say hi first to Triple E, always saying, "What's up? What's up, Triple E?" Cami Star says, "After morning, guys, the sub-freezing temperatures are almost gone. Hopefully." It was like -8 degrees this morning, Cami, where in Pittsburgh here, Bloomfield. And I was walking to Starbucks. I could feel my nose hairs freezing. But it is kind of warming up now. Hopefully it stays that way a little bit. Willie Thornbrew, shout out to you. I wonder if we'll have any clean finishes on Raw tonight. Interesting. Yeah, hopefully we do get some of that. Wrestling Oldhead says, "Good after morning, R&I. I hope everyone had a great weekend." I had a nice weekend. Very nice. Cami likes the scrolling ticker. Is this the first time you're seeing it? We've had it on a couple of days, but yes, I figure it gives an ESPN kind of vibe to the show. The daily news, feeling like we're up to something, and we're on the cusp of the cutting edge news here going on. So Jeff Henninger says, "Hello, R&I. Worst book Super Bowl ever." Oh, I have my thoughts on that, Jeff. I don't think so whatsoever. I'm on the other side of the coin. Not the best Super Bowl book Super Bowl ever, but Cami says the game was boring, the show was a vibe. We're gonna talk about that indeed. Triple E asks, when is the next Fonzie episode? That will be Wednesday. We're scheduled, Fonzie and I. We're gonna talk Flair versus Fujinami in Japan, and Fonzie happened to be the referee of that match. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna look up the card. I'm gonna try to watch the show itself, and Fonzie and I are going to talk about it. So join us, probably 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on rvdtv.com. And we'll go on StudioOneSports.com too. Why not? StudioOneSports.com. Check it out. So there we go. All right. Get my quick thoughts. Now, I did a live show here yesterday after the Super Bowl to talk about the halftime show in detail and why I thought it was a great halftime show and why I thought it resonated on several levels. I thought it was a lot of speculation and thought process that this was going to be the end of Western civilization as we know it. A lot of hyperboles talked about it. And as always, media makes a big stink about something that, it's pop culture. Sure, a lot of people watching it. But is it necessarily going to change the world? I thought it was a positive, uplifting halftime show with a great vibe. And, I thought it was, if you're taking if you're somebody that has exceptions with, he's singing in Spanish and, this is America, blah, blah, blah. If you take that element out of it and just be like, I'm going to watch this and not consider the language barrier and just look at it for what it is. It was a very, very positive, optimistic, and inclusive for all different people from walks of life. Now, I know it's all Puerto Rican focused and Hispanic focused in during the halftime show, with probably the exception of Lady Gaga. But I think if you can have empathy for people and an understanding, you were a part of that as well. And I think it spoke to opportunity to unite everybody rather than divide everybody. So I think the impressions that were given on this halftime show were very misconstrued, and I thought what was the message delivered casted a wide net if you allowed it to. So yeah, I liked it a lot. And so that's what I think. And really cool Bad Bunny was a part of that. And I thought as well some wrestling tie-ins happened, obviously. So we'll bring some of that up. Let me see if I screenshotted it. I can't remember if I screenshotted this stuff or not right before the show. What happened in my mind? Okay, yes, I did. Okay, so somebody had something to say about this halftime show who is not associated with WWE, but their brother is. and that was Jake Paul. So Jake Paul chimed in on this halftime show. Let's bring it up here if I can. All right, this is the tweet that Jake Paul had regarding the halftime show. He says, purposely turning off the halftime show. Let's rally together and show big corporations they just can't do whatever they want without consequences, which equals viewership for them. You are their benefit. Realize you have power. Turn off this halftime. A fake American citizen performing who publicly hates America. I cannot support this. Okay, so first off, like, I don't know exactly if Bad Bunny necessarily said anything, but like, I was not under the impression he hates America. Puerto Rican is an American territory, so he's technically an American citizen, and so don't know if that was a great tweet to put. It wasn't a great tweet. Also, what Jake Paul is not realizing is that creates more division just saying that kind of stuff too at the same time. So he's entitled to his opinion, but that's my thoughts on that. Now, who did a little damage control but his older brother, Logan Paul, which, by the way, I always thought Jake Paul was older than Logan Paul. I did not know Logan Paul was the older brother. So we're going to bring that tweet up here in a second here. Maybe we'll have to redo this when Robert gets on. Okay, so this is Robert. So Logan Paul quote tweeted what you just saw there. And this is what Logan Paul had to say. I love my brother, but I don't agree with this. Puerto Ricans are Americans, and I'm happy they were given the opportunity to showcase the talent that comes from the island. So there you go. Also, there was a video captured about Logan Paul being asked if he was excited for the Bad Bunny halftime show. He flat out just said no. Here it is. This is one of your WrestleMania main events you can have. One of your headliner matches. Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul. Or tag match. Logan Paul, one of the members of the Vision, whether it's Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, we'll talk about him in a little bit, and Bad Bunny, maybe Damian Priest. I don't know. Just throwing a name out there that I could think would work. But you have a match like that. That's one of your WrestleMania headliner matches. And people might take exception to it. Wrestling fans, like football fans did with the Bad Bunny show, wrestling fans might take exception to that. But guess what? You're getting a bigger audience tuning in because people love Bad Bunny. So, yes. Will this cultivate into a wrestling angle, perhaps? I'd be for it. Wrestling Old Head says the Paul brothers versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. I can see it. I'm curious. I'm curious if like Logan Paul was doing damage control for Jake Paul here, and since he's a representative of WWE, Logan Paul is. Maybe he was like, hey, I gotta distance myself. Love my brother, but distance myself from his thoughts here. And or is Jake Paul going to be in on the game possibly if they do something with this? I don't know what Bad Bunny's schedule looks like. If he's able to do something at WrestleMania, it's only a couple months away. So how much preparation does he need necessarily? Lots of moving parts, I'm sure here, but it'd be neat. I think it'd be really cool. And it ties into wrestling. Like wrestling, you have reality blend with the storytelling aspect of wrestling, and you have something special here. So I would be for it. We'll get Robert's thoughts when he joins us. Let's see what people have to say. I missed Green Day. I was bummed I missed the Green Day because like I was at a bar and I was like, okay, I think Green Day maybe is going on at halftime before Bad Bunny. That's the impression I got. And then I like look up and like all the televisions are muted at the bar because music is playing. And I see Green Day playing. I'm like, dang it. And then I see them all with all the NFL Hall of Famers like Emmitt Smith, who's one of my all-time favorites, Joe Montana, you name it. A lot of Hall of Famers coming out on stage with Green Day. And I was like, dang it, I missed this. So I have to go rewatch that. Let's see. Tony Gonk says, to really capture the ESPN spirit, you need two more guys in the studio shouting over each other. Look, I do not. I sincerely subscribe to the fact that Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless ruined sports talk television for me, sports media. I was a huge fan of Around the Horn, huge fan of PTI, but then everybody has to have these hot takes and scream and yell and make points that only promote themselves in a lot of ways. Like you think about the brand that Stephen A. Smith, or more particular, I guess both Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless was all about hating on LeBron. And LeBron is not Michael Jordan, and blah 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 blah. And so that was their huge thing. Then they went to Tebow. Then they went to all these topics that are not like sensationalist. So they ruined a lot of sports talk television for me, especially on ESPN. I loved like the sports reporters, loved PTI, loved Around the Horn especially, and they really took away from that. Cammy says she missed half the game in ads. Was modding a Twitch stream. What? I didn't know you did that. Modding a Twitch stream. What were they playing on the Twitch stream, Cammy? Fill me in on that. That's interesting. She says she actually put AAA on the Spanish feed during the matches, English during the promos, so Ray can translate. Interesting. All right. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. My initial thoughts here on the Super Bowl halftime. We'll have to get Robert's thoughts here once he joins us, which he's set to do. He gave me a text before the show and filled me in that he will be a little late. But, hey, you don't want to be late. You want to be your own Super Bowl MVP in the bedroom, don't you? Fellas, you already know what time it is. It's time to level up, and Blue Chew has just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt, gold-plated energy. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 that's setting the gold standard, Sheldon Benjamin, for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine, and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue and works in as little as 15 minutes. That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. This is peak passion and peak performance in a single tablet. So, we have a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with our code RUMOR. That's promo code RUMOR. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. All right. So, did get to catch some SmackDown. Thought it was a pretty decent show. There's a lot of entertaining elements that I think make it stand out different than Raw. Kit Wilson's a lot of fun. Like that personality and his music and different flavor going on in comparison to what you see on other wrestling shows, WWE in particular. And then what are some other takeaways that I had? Obviously, Randy Orton is qualified for the Elimination Chamber. Should be a good name to have in the mix there. And I don't think you necessarily... I mean, would have been kind of cool to see Aleister Black get a push and get put into the chamber as a name. I think you could tell a fun story with him being in the mix. Just have him just start going on more of a tear. So I'd like to see more done with Aleister Black overall, to be honest. And then let me think what else I liked about it. Trick Williams is amazing. Man, what a star. Just amazing on the microphone. And they know it. They're putting him in high-profile confrontations. Drew McIntyre, and so many others like that. He just mixes it up with, and he fits right in, and even makes that person make it feel like cool. And I'm excited for Trick Williams and what he's capable of doing. Also, I just like the charisma of Carmelo Hayes as well. I know they were synonymous with one another in NXT, so I think it'd be great. I'm intrigued to see what more they do. Don't necessarily like, it seems like, no offense to The Miz whatsoever. Like, he's a hard worker. He fits right in. He's somebody that you can pair up with, and, he can job and help kind of elevate that person. But I also feel that at the same time, too, working with The Miz does not help anybody, I don't think. And I hope that doesn't sound mean. Like, I just feel it's like, oh, it's a Miz thing? Okay, whatever. They don't know what to do with this person. That's what it feels like when you pair somebody up with The Miz, like in a match or in a feud. Not necessarily if you pair him up with somebody. I think if you pairing up with Carmelo Hayes, kind of made a little bit of sense, to help, develop somebody. But if you put somebody in a feud against The Miz, it's just like, they don't know what to do with this person right now. And that's kind of the vibe I was getting comes to Ilya Dragunov. I would ultimately love to see Ilya Dragunov versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I think that would be a blast of a match, and you could really hype that up and make it fun, and then have Ilya beat Brock at WrestleMania. Could you imagine that? I think that'd be tremendous. I would much rather see. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Brock versus Gunther would be amazing too, in so many levels. You'd have to, but the only thing is, you'd have to have Gunther beat Brock, uh, and Brock's a babyface. I guess you could do it, but I'm just way more intrigued by the David versus Goliath story that you get between Brock and Dragunov, because we did get that with Bryan Danielson and Brock, but Danielson was a heel at the time, so it didn't resonate as much. I would love to see what Dragunov and Brock are capable of doing with one another in the ring. I did not see this. Did you see AAA that El Grande Americano attacked El Grande Americano? Did not see that. Oh, Kami Star is a mod for WWE Supercard. Interesting. That's a wow. I used to play a little bit of the WWE Supercard on my phone. It was a while back though. Triple E says dirt sheet headline RVD co-host calls out the Miz. Marcus D'Angelo versus the Miz would be cool. Oh man, I don't know. So yeah, those are my thoughts on SmackDown. Trying to think if I missed anything. The women's title picture looks interesting. It looks like we're getting Jordan Graves versus Jade Cargill first next week. So curious how they'll set all that up. Did see the little vignette they did for Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, and setting up. That just feels. I think there's embers still there for the Wyatt 6, but it just seems like they're kind of languishing there. I don't know. I don't know where to exactly put them or how to utilize them in the best manner, but I think there's still something you can do with them to make them feel like a bigger deal. So there we go. Ember Moon, kidding, man. Yeah, that's somebody that AEW really needs to utilize a lot more. All right, so there's my thoughts on SmackDown. Something that I overlooked because of Super Bowl Sunday was Braun Breaker injured. He got a hernia, man. And according to PW Insider, it was self-inflicted when he flipped over the table at Raw, the commentary table. He gave himself a hernia. And so he had to get surgery. So I don't think there's not a timetable as to when he'll be ready to go be back in action. But that's a shot to the gut, no pun intended, because you're wanting to build Braun up here for WrestleMania, and to get him off the card like that for now could create some complications. But how do you, injuries happen. How are you going to adjust and tailor it so it makes it work? Hopefully he'll be ready for WrestleMania. But yeah, I don't know. Wrestling Old Head says, do you think they failed Royce Key's debut by putting him in the Rumble with no video packages and in an arena that doesn't air AEW? I highly think that they did not do him any favors, Wrestling Old Head. Robert and I actually talked about that. Was it on Friday? Or what? We probably talked about it a couple times. But yeah, they did not do him any favors by doing that. I would love to see Royce Keys be a prominent figure here. They should have made him feel like a big deal. I would have much rather traded in that Royal Rumble debut and for vignettes and video packages hyping him up, and Royce Keys is coming, a powerhouse is entering, and then you associate the fans with this name powerhouse, and then the name Royce Keys, and you get that in their heads, and then you debut him on Raw in Philadelphia. Would have been great because that's such an ardent fan base. I think it's a shame that they did it. I understand that they maybe wanted to get a surprise out there, but I don't think it was the right surprise to have. because you put him behind the 8 ball. You didn't make him feel as big as, and so yeah. Real quick, I will say what they did with Obafemi on SmackDown is what they should have done with Obafemi on Raw. Instead of him taking out the War Raiders, both of them, take out somebody that's akin to Kit Wilson on Raw. There's plenty of names that you could have put that in there and made him just destroy somebody. Whether that's both the El Grande Americano goons, you could have done it that way if you wanted two people. Hey, Jem the Don chimes in. He's an RVD fan member. What up, Dom? Hope you're doing good. Enjoyed the Super Bowl. See you later tonight. Yes, pop on in. RVDTV.com will be live tonight. Me and Rob Van Dam will be going live at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune into there. Go to RVDTV.com, hit like and subscribe. Help us out. Get the word out about that show. And yes, lots going on over there. When Carplus pops in, R and I should have a 30-minute overtime. He might no show the show. Oh, speaking of, wow, Robert, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry. I'm hearing myself to your side.
1 second. I'm not going to say anything.
I'm all for. I'm not saying anything. Wait, why does it say if Robert pops it? What the hell were you saying to these poor people?
Somebody was asking about if Robert pops in, we should go overtime. And I was like, I don't know if I said, I think Robert might no show, but you showed up. Here you are.
I'm sorry. I was on a meeting. I told you it was going to go to 12:15. They were still talking past it, and I was like, sorry guys, I got stuff to talk about because there's so much to talk about, and I'm sure you've covered a lot of it expertly, brilliantly. The guy who has so many different shows on his Studio One world. Now you're doing a show with EC3. Your brother is? What the hell?
Yes, yeah.
No one tells me anything, guys. I'm a spectator here. You did a live stream last night about Bad Bunny.
Yes.
Which I'm sure you covered. What is it you were just discussing? Because I know exactly what I want to talk about, but I'm curious where you're at.
We were just talking about Royce Keys not being utilized as much as he should be. I don't think they're doing him any favors. And it's Wrestling World had asked about him debuting at the Royal Rumble, and was that counterproductive? And I said it was. And I said you thought the same thing too.
Well, it was in the sense that it felt like his elimination was at the hands of the Vision. And if the idea was you were going to move him into a program where he shows up and he's coming after these guys and he's a thorn in their side, along with LA Knight and Penta and Mysterio and all that, there's a value in that. Now it seems like the idea is that he's going to debut on SmackDown, or he's going to be a part of the SmackDown brand, which is a little odd. It felt like he had a lot of momentum coming off of that Rumble, and then you don't immediately follow up with it. A bit strange, but it's why we've said on this broadcast, on this show, this is the worst corridor of time to debut a whole bunch of new talent because there's a lot of wheels in motion. The wheel in motion that I'm the most interested in really kind of talking about very briefly is this Braun Breaker situation.
Yes, talk about it.
I was very critical of the WrestleMania main event that we are getting, this Roman Reigns CM Punk main event Mania match that doesn't make any sense. And it's like now the other shoe has dropped, that this was not the plan. Like I can read these tea leaves. I can see where it is that they're going. I'm going, this wasn't the plan. This wasn't even the backup plan. The plan was Seth Rollins involved in some form or fashion. When Rollins went down, the backup plan became, let's use Punk to elevate someone. He's the interim champion. He's not the guy we wanted to be world champ, so he can lose it to whoever. Let's make it the most valuable at Mania. And it sounds like the plan was that he was going to beat Braun Breaker at the the Netflix premiere. Braun Breaker goes and wins the Royal Rumble, which means Roman Reigns doesn't win the Royal Rumble. And then Braun Breaker would go on to WrestleMania, beat CM Punk, and become the new world champion, which would validate the Seth Rollins injury and him being attacked as elevating Braun Breaker. All of Paul Heyman's promos over the last few months about how these guys are the next WrestleMania main eventers. It validates Punk's whole ethos of, I want to be able to elevate new talent. I want to be able to get young guys over. I want to leave this business better than I found it. It also furthers the idea of once Braun Breaker wins, How long until Logan Paul is looking at that gold? How long until Bronson Reed wants that opportunity? Austin Theory. I'm kidding. Not Austin Theory. And then you've got Gunther, who's waiting to go after it. Like, not to mention immediate cannon fodder for Braun Breaker in the form of Jey Uso and LA Knight and Penta. So it all made sense. And then on the SmackDown side, Cody and Roman made a lot of sense. The other part of the story is that Drew McIntyre and Cody were pushing for Drew to win the title. We talked about this go way back to September, October last year when Drew kept losing to Cody over and over again. I'm like, how long until you've completely eroded any value in Drew McIntyre? And when they went to a 3 stages of hell match, I said, there's no way on God's green earth you can beat Drew McIntyre clean and see any value for him in 2026. At the
Sure.
same time, the logical answer of here comes Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu interferes and costs Drew the match, weakens Cody going into a match with Roman Reigns. And you can't have a weak champion going up against a very strong challenger. The audience would smell blood in the water. They would boo the hell out of Cody Rhodes, somewhat rightfully so. So they pivoted, they made this decision, and I guess they felt, well, since Drew's champion, we got to change things on the other side. You still could have gotten to a Cody Roman match, and Punk, instead of elevating Braun Breaker, could have re-elevated Gunther. So the news that's coming out of it still reaffirms my belief of they made a lot of really odd decisions and very panicky moves to go ahead and say we're going with Roman and CM Punk. It's where we are now, and it's unfortunate that Braun Breaker's injury occurred when it did.
Well, so the question I have for you is, how does it necessarily line up them pivoting? Because we had Braun Breaker allegedly get injured when he flipped the table at the opening of Raw, the commentators table. When he did that,
well, no, they said that they made changes for Rumble. That was part of it. That he was hurt. That he was hurt going into
that.
Yes.
So according to the report from PW Insider, is like his injury was self-inflicted with a hernia at Raw by flipping a table.
It supposedly was a serious hernia, but it sounds like the time frame on this, from what I had seen, was that this had occurred a couple weeks ago, which also would explain why Braun Breaker's physicality has been limited over the last few weeks. And he wasn't part of anything that really occurred on Raw on Monday night. That it seemed like he wants the shot. I want to fight this guy. I want to fight this guy. Hey, we're suspending you. Hey, we're pushing you off TV. Hey, this, hey, this. And they were left with no option other than we got to take him out. We got to take him out now by what appears to be Logan Paul. The pivot that I had said would make the most sense is that this was all Seth Rollins' plan all along. He's still your evil mastermind. He's still your evil genius, and go from there.
So real quick, Cody also mentioned on the show on SmackDown that he plans to take the title off of Drew before he gets to WrestleMania, almost or made it seem that way, imply that he wouldn't be champion heading into WrestleMania. You think that's still going to be the plan for WWE to do that, or are we ultimately getting Drew versus Cody at WrestleMania?
I don't know where they're ultimately going to wind up. It feels like they're trying to set up some sort of triple threat situation with Fatu and Cody and Drew. The idea that next week, or I guess this week now, we need to see Fatu and Cody win qualifying matches in order to get into the Elimination Chamber. Maybe one of them doesn't and they interfere or whatever it may be. Like, I don't know that Drew and Cody one-on-one or Drew and Fatu one-on-one is a strong enough match. I also think they're doing Jacob Fatu a lot of disservices by not making him a clear babyface right now. I think the audience wants to cheer him, but they're not going to fully cheer him when he's in there with Cody, and you don't need to divide that crowd any further.
I agree. Any other quick takeaways that you want to touch upon? I talked about the halftime show, and I talked about the Logan Paul stuff that kind of went on after that fact. I don't know if you want to talk about that, or is there anything else?
I saw the Jake Paul stuff. What did Logan do?
So Logan did some damage control a little bit afterwards. So if you saw the Jake Paul post, this is what Logan Paul quote tweeted after on his brother's post here. So here, I'm pulling it up. Love my brother, but I don't agree with this. Puerto Ricans are Americans, and I'm happy that they were given the opportunity to showcase the talent that comes from the island. He also was asked, there was a video clip of him going around that somebody asked him, hey, are you excited for the Bad Bunny halftime show? This was Logan Paul. And Logan Paul flat out just said no. And that was it. So I'm curious, Could you cultivate something between these two for WrestleMania, or is this way too soon? And
I
is that
mean, if it wasn't for Jake Paul's comments, I would have said absolutely. There's money in
yeah,
them their hills. That the idea is LA Knight and crew bring in Bad Bunny to go up against the Vision.
yeah,
Look, Logan Paul and Bad Bunny is a big time mainstream match. That's
yes?
absolutely something we're like, and the idea that Bad Bunny supposedly can be back sooner rather than later. Why the hell not? All I know is we could have Kid Rock and Bad Bunny as WWE Hall of Famers when all was said and done. What a
Wow,
world! WWE uniting all.
I didn't even think about that.
That's entirely where my brain went. Super Bowl was a great example of why wrestling is the one true sport because you're able to script your Super Bowl to deliver the best value for your audience. Super Bowl was by the way, an excellent Super Bowl.
I loved it.
If you look at it from a purely technical perspective, obviously one really amazing defense, one very good defense going at it. It's kind of like people who don't like pitchers duels in baseball. I get it, but I was enjoying it. My wife and daughter were like, "Can we get some touchdowns?" Like this is kind of slow and grinding, and Mike Tirico talking about how much he loves special teams. It's like I get it, but it's not what you want for your Super Bowl. You want like you want these guys like winning like 34-30 in like a total just insane offensive slugfest. Instead,
Well, I
we
know as
got
a Dolphins fan and as a Jets fan, we're happy the Patriots lost. That's for sure.
I was rooting against the Patriots as hard as humanly possible. I will
Absolutely.
always hate the
And the way they lost is even better. Sam Darnold getting his redemption story too. That's good storytelling.
and I mean it's fine. Yes, if Sam Darnold put on a Super Bowl worthy performance, then yeah, what a redemption story. I don't think Disney's optioning the right for the guy who kind of got it done.
No turnovers the whole playoffs by Sam Darnold. First
Boy,
ever time for a quarterback.
that's captivating.
I love it.
Drake May getting sacked over and over again. Look, he's a North Carolina kid. I like UNC quite a bit. I have some coworkers who were rooting hard for Drake May and not the Patriots. There were no Gators involved in this Super Bowl, so it was kind of like, all right, there's that. One of the kids playing for Seattle played for the school that my daughter goes to, so I was like, all right, I'll root for
Who was that?
them. He didn't play. He was
okay.
he's a defensive end who I don't think got a minute of play time, but at least it's there. And the wrestling world of it, Kofi was there, Seth was there, Becky was there, MJF I know was part of Super Bowl festivities. And when I think the Seattle
Swerve and
Seahawks,
Darby were both there
what?
too. Swerve and Darby were both there too.
Swerve and Darby, yeah, I saw Swerve posted that on I think his public page, or not, or maybe I don't know if I'm divulging or not. That notwithstanding, to me, the number one Seahawks fan is always Bryan Danielson.
Oh, true.
That was always his gimmick. My gimmick apparently was showing up late, and I apologize for that. But I will be back here live tomorrow on time on a plethora of platforms, including the WW Creative _ISH X account, the @Dominic D'Angelo X account, the @SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on Podcast Heat and Studio One Sports. I think it's what it's called. It's covered by the little gimmick there. So on behalf of the man who carried most of the water for this episode, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
We even got the Blue Chew ad in. Promo code Rumor, baby.